Hello, everyone. We are live. Let's wait for a moment for people to arrive. Oh, we have a lot of comments from people. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Oh, we already have 87 people on this session. Amazing. Jessica, people are so excited to see your talk.
That's great.
So happy to see the engagement. Hi everyone. This is Jessica Haworth. She is a cybersecurity reporter for Daily Swig. I will let her take over the stage and not keep you waiting to hear her amazing talk. If you have any questions, as always, you can drop it in the chat box. We are going to answer all the questions. It's a very interactive sessions, and if Jessica has a poll, if she has a poll somewhere on the screen, you have the option to vote there as well. So whenever you see her doing a poll, you can just click on one of the options. And aside from that, if you somehow miss this session because of internet issues or anything, don't worry, you will have lifelong access to the recorded versions of this video. So you can relax and enjoy. Don't stress too much if there is no power. And aside from that, the networking session is going on all the time. You can join it after this session as well. So I would say just sit back, enjoy this session, learn a lot, and once it's done, you can head over to the networking sessions. All right, and also we have a support lounge and organizer booth which is available 24/7. So if you have any questions, if you need any help during any time of the event, you can just drop into the organizer booth and ask us questions. All right, thank you so much for giving me your time. Now I'm going to hand over the stage to Jessica.
Hi, thank you so much for the introduction, Anangsha.
Very
Hi,
happy to
everyone.
be here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. There's like 93 people here, so I'm really, really grateful for you all taking the time, 94 now, for taking the time to come and join me today. Just going to share with you. Here we go. So, as Anangsha has already said, my name is Jessica Haworth. I'm a cybersecurity research reporter for the Daily Swig. We are a web security news outlet and we cover every aspect of web security. Today, I'm going to speak to you about how yourselves as security researchers can have your work shared beyond Twitter, in the news, and in the media. I'm really excited to be here for the first session of Infosec Write-Up-Con, and without further ado, I'll kick off. Before I get started, hopefully you'll be able to see a poll published. I'll show it on stage. Here we go. Out of my interest, has anyone ever visited the Daily Swig? Oh, great. We're getting more yeses than nos. That's great. Hopefully those who are voting no might be more inclined to come and visit us after the session. Great. I'll keep that poll going and I'll take a check at the end of the session. To introduce myself more thoroughly, my name is Jessica Haworth and here is my contact details. I will be sharing these at the end as well. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me at all, please feel free to reach out on Twitter, on my email, or on our news desk email. Here is a screenshot of our homepage. As I said before, we cover all aspects of web security, from everything from bug bounty write-ups to cyber attacks to security research. And today I'm going to give you a bit of background about what journalists do and give you some real examples of times that I've worked with security researchers on stories, and also share my advice on how you can share your work with us and have your own work shared beyond the Twitterverse, just as these researchers have done so. At the Daily Swig, we are really committed to publishing the highest possible standard of journalism. And this means that we have some guidelines and limitations that we have to adhere to. These rules sometimes cause delays in publication. So the first thing that I wanted to say to you is to have patience. There are a number of things that we need to do before a story is even seen on our website. One of these things is that we always have to make sure that we give a right of reply to any security vendor, organization, company, or individual we're writing about. It's really important because it allows them to get their own point of view across. And we also have to adhere to a number of embargoes. Embargoes is when a company says, you can't publish this information until this date at this time. This is particularly important when it comes to writing about zero-day vulnerabilities, as often we have to give the vendor enough time to patch the bug before it's public knowledge. To put this into context, I have a scenario for you. Say you have published some security research about a vulnerability in a vendor's software. I get in touch with you on Twitter and I ask you for some more information about the bug, and you reply to my questions, but 3 days pass and you haven't heard anything. Now, in those 3 days, there are a number of scenarios that could have happened. And here I've just shared with you some common scenes that we see. So scenario number one, I may have contacted the vendor for a right of reply, and I have to wait to hear back from them before I publish any information. Number two, I contact the vendor and they ask me not to publish until a release is fixed, and we agree to that due to the risk of exploitation. And sometimes it's just the fact that a huge story is broken. So, for example, the SolarWinds supply chain attacks or the Cambridge Analytica data breach scandal. Those stories were so huge and took up so much of our time that we just simply had to put some of the work that we were already working on the back burner. The second thing that I would like to talk about is sharing your work. Now, we get our work, our stories from a number of different sources, and some of those most common sources are Twitter, Reddit, and blog posts, such as those posted on Medium. Now, I'd just like to take the opportunity to say that Infosec write-ups itself is obviously on Medium, and we have before had stories come from Infosec write-ups, which is a great platform really for researchers, especially those who are just starting off in the field, to be able to have their work shared to a wider audience. So I would really encourage you to seek out these kind of platforms to share. And also, I'd really encourage just getting in touch with media outlets. We have a number of already established relationships with security researchers, research teams, and organizations who send work to us. But we also get a lot of people that we haven't spoken to before messaging us on Twitter, on email, and you can see a couple of examples here of real scenarios when we've had people approach us with news. I want to share with you an example of a scenario that could happen. So I will see a blog post or a GitHub report shared on Twitter, for example, and it is a core subject for us. So it's something to do with let's say it's a bug bounty write-up. I spot a bug bounty write-up, and we want to know some more information about it. So I contact the researcher or the research team. We ask for more quotes, which is quite a standard practice in journalism. You will often find journalists asking you for more information about things, either to cover the accuracy of their report, or sometimes we just want some unique quotes. You may have seen this with as told to the Daily Swig, XX told the Daily Swig. And we'll sometimes ask for more information on the bug itself. We'll ask for proof of concept, for example. Now, if I have all of that information that I need, we will publish a story and then we'll share it on our socials, such as Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Apple News. Obviously, this is a scenario where everything has gone perfectly right and it was very quick from contacting to publication. It's not always like that. There are many issues that we run into with reporting in web security. And one of the most common of these is that we don't have the quotes or the information that we want or need for the story. This is why it's really important for us to get good quotes. By good quotes, I mean information that is detailed, that is accurate, and that provides us with everything that we need to know. So here I've given an example, a paraphrase of a conversation that I've had before. I asked, can you tell me more about the vulnerability you found and what the impact could be if it was exploited? And they simply answered XSS. Now, this isn't a good quote for us because there is no information there and we don't know what the impact is. And for example, we don't know if it's stored XSS, reflected XSS. So instead of saying that, you want to give the second example. Can you tell me more about the vulnerability you found and what the impact could be? You say it's an XSS vulnerability in this software, which, if exploited, could cause this impact. Now, we also understand that not many researchers are trained in speaking to the media, and we don't expect them to be, because after all, why would a security researcher know how to talk to the press? But the good thing is that you don't actually have to be trained in talking to the press in order to give good quotes. All you need to do is explain thoroughly what the bug is or what the tool is that you've built, and just be very clear about it. And sometimes you can even add in some humor or opinion as well. Here is a great example of a conversation I had with a security researcher who gave some really great quotes for a story. As you can see, they responded thoroughly. They were very forthcoming with the answers. And in the end, we wrote a really, really great story together. Another issue that we sometimes run into is hesitation from security researchers in speaking to the media, which also is understandable. If you haven't spoken to a journalist before, you might be a little bit hesitant. And that's exactly what happened in this scenario. Once the researcher realized that we were directly related to Portswigger, they felt the need to speak to us. As you can see here, he felt indebted after using Burp for over a decade. This is why it's really important to just ask questions. You're well within your right to ask about what the article will be and how the process happens in speaking to a researcher. So don't feel too shy to ask. Asking questions is also really important in other areas. So, for example, I have been in situations where the security researchers' native language wasn't English, which is a language that we publish in. But this isn't always an issue. We can possibly help with translations, or we can find a way around it. We just need to know about it. And the same comes when it comes to time difference. We are based in the UK. Obviously, this can sometimes be an issue with speaking to people from around the world, but with email and messaging and all of the other technologies we have these days, it's not always vital to be in the same time difference. A final issue that I want to speak about is that sometimes there is a feeling of rejection from security researchers. I just want to point out that just because a journalist gets in touch with you, that doesn't always 100% guarantee that a story will be published. There's a number of reasons for this, and I just want to point out that it doesn't mean that your research isn't good. It just means that it wasn't right for publication at that very time. And we always encourage researchers that even if we don't publish one piece of work, please keep in touch with us and keep sending us your work, because just because one report wasn't right for us doesn't mean the next one won't be. And in this situation, I was really pleased to see that the researcher was very open to coming back to me in the future with future research. Finally, I just wanted to talk about some of the issues that we feel we sometimes run into. And one of them is something that you may have heard of, the term snake oil. There have been a number of times where we have been given some research to look at, which has claimed it has a really important impact and it's a really critical book and it's one of these world-changing books. When we actually look into it, that's not the case. And I just want to say that it doesn't happen all of the time, but when it does happen, we do know that it is exaggerated. And I would just encourage you to be very honest and realistic about the research that you are giving to the media, because if you do lie or exaggerate, it not only can damage your own reputation with us, but it can also damage your reputation if you were known for being someone who lies or exaggerates about something. Luckily, this isn't very common, but it's definitely one thing to bear in mind. And to help you remember all of this advice, I have created a checklist. These are just my opinion of the do's and don'ts of speaking to the media. So do share your work online so that it can be spotted, and don't be afraid to send it directly to us. On our Twitter page, which I will link in the chat, we always say that our DMs are open, and we are always thankful for submissions, whether it's on Twitter, to our email, any way you can find us. Please don't feel too shy to get in touch. Do always give detailed, clear answers to a journalist's questions so that the story can be accurately reported. Do have patience and know that from query to publication, it can take time. And do feel free to ask questions about the process of talking to media to alleviate any apprehensions that you might have. And don't lie about or exaggerate the impact. Don't feel rejected if it isn't published. And again, don't give one-word answers that won't make great quotes for the story. Hopefully, from my talk today, you have a better understanding of what we do as journalists and how you can get in touch with us to see your work published in the media. Sharing your work beyond social media can have multiple benefits, including you can contribute to an article without necessarily being a good writer or having a good knowledge of a particular language. You can gain more visibility for your research. And above all, you can have a new experience, which I hope will be rewarding and fun. I also wanted to take this opportunity to ask you as a community to connect with us at the Daily Swig. There are so many talented researchers from across India, and I know that there are so many attendees today from the country who are doing such excellent work, and we're really, really keen to showcase more Indian security researchers on the Daily Swig. So please follow us at Daily Swig. Please email over your research, and hopefully we will see some of the attendees from the conference today published in the media soon. If you would like to connect with us, please follow us at Daily Swig and email us dailyswig@portsfigure.net. I'm at Jessica Haworth. I'll be sharing my guidelines from before on my Twitter page after the session, and I'd also like to open up, we've got 10 minutes left to speak, and I can answer any questions you might have. And finally, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody for attending the session today. Thank you so much to the organisers of Infosec Writers Con for having me, and I wish you all a great conference. So if there is any questions, then please feel free to put them in the chat now.
Thank you, Jessica. That was so eye-opening, actually. People don't know so many things that you mentioned. We have a question. Let me show it on stage. So, how to politely decline exclusivity when talking to journalists?
Okay, this is a really interesting question. The topic of exclusivity is something that I didn't quite touch upon, but some journalists will want to exclusively be the only media outlet that you're talking to when you share your research with them. Usually that reason is so that they get the first scoop on the story. However, I completely understand that that's not always what the researcher wants to do. How to politely decline. Personally, I would just be honest with them. If somebody didn't want to be exclusively reported on the Daily Swig, I would really appreciate the honesty of just saying, hi, I am grateful for the opportunity to be published on the Daily Swig. However, I do not want to agree to exclusivity as I am talking to a few other media outlets. Would you still be happy to publish on the website in a non-exclusive capacity? And then it's, I guess, up to the media outlet themselves to say yes or no. I think that it's a fair point. I think that you're well within your rights to decline exclusivity. And I think that by just being open and honest about it from the very start, that would be the best thing to do.
That's so interesting. And we also have a follow up right now to the same question. How should the researcher disclose how much should the researcher disclose to prove the point?
We often just ask for a proof of concept, whether this is, we often have people send in a video to prove that the attack works, screen recording. I would advise that this might vary depending on the media publication and depending on the research that you are disclosing. So I would say a proof of concept, or to ask them directly, do do you have enough information to prove the point? And if they say no, then ask them what else they need.
Amazing. Another question we have. It seems people are so excited about the talk. So, do you verify with companies before you publish the write up? Are they responsive all the time? If not, what will be the process?
So yes, we do make an attempt to verify with the company before we publish anything. As I said before, this is really important to give them the right to reply. Um, they're not responsive all the time. Luckily, most of the time they are. And the process, if they're not responsive, varies really depending on the company and depending on the actual research. For example, if we are writing something which paints the company in a bad light and we don't have the response from them, we are inclined to not publish until we get the response from them. Um, there are a number of reasons for this. There are legal reasons that we have to give them the opportunity. So the process would either be we hold the story until we publish it, or we decide that we're not able to publish the story because we haven't had the comment from the company.
Amazing. Now we have a really, really interesting question. It says, do you receive pushback from government entities when publishing about government data breaches?
Um, Personally, I've never experienced that before. I have written about government data breaches, and I haven't received pushback. But in my opinion, I can imagine it happening. But yeah, it's never happened to me before, so I can't say yes or no.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, this is a reminder to everyone who's watching. You can go to the settings to your profile and you can update your profile picture and your bio. That would make it easier to network with you if people know who you are and where you work. So, don't forget to do that. It would be a really nice addition to the event.
I'm just going to put as well the URL to the Daily Swig.
Definitely.
Um,
We put it on the chat.
Here, can I do that? There we go. The final votes for Have You Visited the Daily Swig are actually quite close. So I'm hoping that the 48.28% can now maybe
I
is
think
it the
after the talk, it would reverse and it would just keep on increasing. Yes, but
I hope so.
all right. I'm closing the poll. Let's see. We had another question from the audience. It says, ever published an article and later figured out it was wrong?
um Off the top of my head, I can't think of any times that we did. But let me have a think about that one because I might have some
Definitely,
examples
yeah.
of what we did. And feel free to connect with me on Twitter if you want to talk about that, and I'll have a think about it.
Yeah. I hope you're hearing that. You can contact with Jessica on Twitter to get your answer to this question. Let's see, we have another question from another person. So it says, hey Jessica, that was an amazing session. My question here is, some research would be understandable in that case, and while speaking with the researcher, how would you handle to ask the researcher to explain about the vulnerability? Uh,
That's a really good question because my background is a journalist, not a security researcher. So sometimes I am writing about vulnerabilities that are beyond my own technical knowledge. In this case, I just hope that the researcher is open to guiding me through it. I often ask them, could you explain the vulnerability? Could you tell me what the impact of the vulnerability would be if it were to be exploited? And could you give me any background information on this vulnerability? A lot of the time, I find that security researchers are really open and welcoming, and that they are really helpful in helping me to write about it. And there have also been situations where I've actually asked the researcher to have a look at my article before publishing to ensure that everything is fully accurate, because that's one of the important things at the Daily Swig, is that we really hold ourselves to high standards. We have to make sure for ourselves that everything we report is accurate, because we want our readers to trust that when they're reading our articles that everything is accurate.
Nice. We are having a lot of love in the comments from people saying insightful session, great session. So I just want to make a small announcement here again. Everyone who's watching it right now, if you're enjoying the event, please tweet about us, tag Jessica to show us some love. We would really appreciate that. So we have another question. It says, how did you end up being a security journalist from normal journalism?
Um, to be honest, I'd like to say a lot of luck, and a lot of encouragement, and the fact that Portsfigure put their faith in me that I was able to do this. When I was a news journalist beforehand, I had done some tech journalism. So when I saw that the opportunity was available to work as a cybersecurity journalist, I was really interested. I'm very, very lucky that they saw that I have the passion for cybersecurity, and I'd like to say that over the past 4 years, I've learned a lot about cybersecurity. I'm no expert at all. I'm sure that there are plenty of things that I am not very knowledgeable about, but I just basically showed them that I have the ambition and the drive, and I was very lucky that they agreed, and here we are 4 years later.
So cool. That's so inspiring to hear that as well. I'm just thinking about something you said. You said that you have spent so many years in writing about cybersecurity. You still don't consider yourself as an expert. I think this is true for like every person in whatever field they are. If you have the urge to learn more, you'll never feel that you know enough and you're an expert.
Yeah, I also think that if you feel like you know everything about something, that's the time to move on, because you're not learning and you're not
Absolutely.
growing. Nobody knows everything about cybersecurity.
Exactly. It's impossible. So, do you have any words for cybersecurity journalists, aspiring cybersecurity journalists?
I would say just be passionate about it. Um, try to get involved in as many opportunities as you can. Maybe start your own blog. Be active on social media. Connect and network with other security journalists, and yeah, just stay active in the community, and hopefully a opportunity will come up for you.
On that note, let's hear what Harsha is saying. He's saying, I hope after this, hackers and journalists collaborate together.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be great. I really enjoy working with and learning from so many hackers. I get to speak to amazing hackers from all over the world who are doing great work, and it's one of the most enjoyable parts of my job. So I hope there'll be more of that in the future.
Amazing. And another question is, how is the work environment to be part of Portswigger team? Myself were trying to be part of the Portswigger team. You guys were doing amazing work.
Well, honestly, working for Portsfigure is an amazing, amazing opportunity. We have so many talented people working in all aspects of the company, and I couldn't speak higher enough of them as a company. The work environment's great. It's really inspiring to be in an office environment with so many people who are constantly inventing and pushing the bar and just creating amazing software. So yeah, they really do an amazing job, and it's really nice to hear that other people feel the same as I do about the company.
So cool to hear that. On that note, people, whoever you are attending this talk, at the bottom of your screen, if you see, there is an option called reactions. So you can drop hearts there if you like this talk. I think we would appreciate that a lot. Oh, and we see hearts. So sweet.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you,
you so
everyone, for the
much. Oh, thank you. It's been a really great opportunity. I really appreciate all the positive feedback, and I'm really glad that it's been insightful for everyone who's joined today.
Oh, and we have hearts in the chats as well. Thank you so much, people. Do tweet about it. Show us some love on Twitter. You can take screenshots and you can share on Twitter. And you can, you know, share, spread the word about IWCon. We have another comment. I don't know this if this makes sense to you. I acknowledge James Kettle and his team about the research. Thanks, Jessica.
Yeah, James Gettle, our director of research, he's an incredible researcher, as are the whole team. They Some of the work that they do, it's mind blowing, and I can't say that I understand it all, but it would be pretty impressive if I did. Yeah, they are they are incredible researchers. We're so lucky to have such great people.
Uh, we have another, it's not a question, it's a comment. That was wonderful. Thank you. So really,
Thank you.
Jessica, thank you for showing this much love to our event. This is the first time we're organizing something. We're really happy to have you as a speaker. Thank you for your time and thank you for this amazing session.
Oh, thank you so much for having me be part of it. I've really enjoyed it.
So it is there, like you can take, I think people are still asking questions. We can continue it for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Let's see. It was a nice session. Feeling blessed to have you people organizing this session. Thank you for
Oh,
attending.
I can see I've had lots of Twitter followers, so thank you for that.
So lovely.
Great to connect.
Lots of new friends, Twitter friends. Yeah, I think let me drop your Twitter.
Ah, I will.
You can just drop a link, yeah, in the chat.
There we go. Yeah, my Twitter, there's no I, it's Jessica instead of Jessica. So I'll put a URL in. So you can just follow me straight away. Where am I?
Yes, we also got a link there.
There
So
we go.
yeah, many people
Thank
have shared. So
you.
thank you for
Can't
being so
disagree.
cooperative. All right. So I think it's time to call it wraps. Anyone, if you missed the session, you'll get lifelong access to recordings. Jessica will share a recording with you soon, super soon, and we'll share more details. Like we have some things planned for our speakers, so we will let you know super soon when things fall together. But thank you so much for coming here today and talking to our audience. I'm sure everyone loved the session. The energy was so high in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for all of your great questions and your great feedback. I've really enjoyed speaking with you. And yeah, please follow me, please connect. And I hope to speak to you all soon. Thank you so
Amazing.
much, Anisha.
You're most welcome, Jessica. So I'm just reminding it to everyone here. The next session starts in another 20 minutes. We have two parallel sessions, dissecting techniques to shoot API by Roshan Piyush and building hacker tooling by Emil Fugulin, who is the co-founder of Kaido. So it's going to be interesting. You can definitely attend them. And before the talks start, you can always go to the networking sessions and make new friends. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you, people, for attending. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.